Hi everyone, welcome back. Let's dive into today's story. The morning had started off like any other, mundane and ordinary, with the hum of daily life in our shared apartment. Our desktop had crashed the night before, and I had planned to check my work emails quickly before starting my day. Samantha, my wife, was off at one of her usual community board meetings in Chicago, leaving the house quiet. I grabbed her MacBook from the dining table, assuming it would be quicker to access my inbox than trying to fix the broken computer. Samantha and I shared everything. Well, I thought we did. She wasn't the type to hide things, and we always talked about the little and big events of our day. Or at least, I thought we did. I had always trusted her completely, believing in the strength of our partnership. The MacBook opened with a familiar beep, and the browser loaded automatically, her email inbox right in front of me. I was about to log out and sign into my own when I saw something strange. The last email that had been opened was from someone I didn't recognize. Our next meetup. The subject line caught my attention immediately, not because of the subject matter, but because of the sender, DP. Normally, I would have ignored it, logged out, and moved on with my day. But there was something about that subject line that bothered me, an instinct that urged me to keep reading. A whispering thought told me not to, but my curiosity overpowered that internal voice. The email opened with a few brief lines about scheduling. It didn't seem significant at first, just typical banter about meeting up and making plans. But then, a sentence stopped me cold. Can't wait to see you again. Last time was unforgettable. I stared at those words, feeling an immediate tightening in my chest. I had never heard Samantha speak about anyone like this. I had never seen this level of intimacy conveyed in her writing. I scanned the email further, looking for more clues. The sender's name was simply David. David. That name hit me like a punch to the stomach. I recognized it immediately. Samantha had mentioned David a few times during our dating years, her old professor from Northwestern. She often spoke about him with a certain reverence, as though he were some intellectual mentor she could turn to for guidance. I had never felt threatened by their friendship. She always assured me it was professional, just someone she respected and occasionally reached out to for career advice. But now, I wasn't so sure. Suddenly, the second email arrived, flashing on the screen. I didn't want to look at it, but I couldn't stop myself. I clicked it open. This time, the email wasn't just about scheduling. It wasn't innocent in the least. It was graphic, explicit, the kind of thing you don't leave open on a shared laptop. The words jumped off the screen. Descriptions of secret meetings, stolen moments in offices, and the undeniable chemistry that had turned into something far more than a professional connection. My heart pounded in my chest as I read the words that exposed what had been happening behind my back. They had been planning their next encounter. A specific location, the timing, and most chillingly, the assurance they wouldn't be caught. I closed the laptop with trembling hands. I felt a sense of nausea rise up in me, but I couldn't escape the thoughts racing through my mind. Samantha wasn't just reconnecting with her old professor for career advice. She was having an affair with him, and she had never bothered to hide it. I sat there, my mind reeling, feeling a cold rush flood my veins. The trust one had in her, in us, was shattered in an instant. A storm of anger, disbelief, and confusion raged inside of me. But I did nothing but sit there, frozen in the moment. It wasn't anger I felt, but a deep, aching sense of betrayal. The weight of what I had just discovered pressed heavily on my chest. I thought about confronting Samantha immediately, calling her, demanding answers, but I couldn't bring myself to do it. I was in shock, my mind racing with questions. How long had this been going on? How deep did it run? But even more so, what was I supposed to do with the truth now? I sat in the kitchen, my coffee untouched, staring at the laptop. It wasn't long before I heard the unmistakable sound of footsteps, hers, approaching. My pulse quickened as she entered the kitchen, her hair slightly disheveled, her eyes wide as she noticed the expression on my face. "What's going on?" she asked, her voice a mix of confusion and concern. "I've been getting these strange notifications. People at work. About you and David?" I cut in, my voice sharp, more venomous than I intended. Her face drained of color. Her eyes locked on mine in panic, as though the very name of her affair could somehow unravel everything. "How do you know about that?" she whispered, her voice trembling. I could hear the guilt in her tone even before she spoke. I took a deep breath, my own anger seeping out. "I know everything. I read your emails, Samantha. I saw what you've been doing." The words hung in the air, thick with the weight of my revelation. I watched her try to process it, her gaze flickering to the laptop I had just closed. Her mouth opened and closed as though words failed her. You sent it to the university, didn't you?" she asked, her voice cracking. "The emails, the photos. Did you really send it all to them?" I didn't answer right away. I didn't need to. My silence spoke volumes. She stumbled back, her face a mask of disbelief. You didn't. You couldn't have." "I did," I said quietly. "The emails, the pictures. I sent everything to the dean, to the university. Everyone needs to know what you've been doing." The room went deathly still, and for a moment, I thought I could hear the sound of her heart breaking. But then, a soft buzz interrupted the silence, her phone vibrating on the counter. It buzzed again, then again. She grabbed it frantically, her eyes scanning the screen, panic rising in her chest. "What's happening?" she muttered. "Why are they calling me?" Her phone buzzed one last time, and the realization hit me. The storm was already here. She wasn't going to be able to fix this. The fallout was immediate. By noon, the affair was the talk of the town. The email I had sent to the university had made its way to the faculty, the students, and eventually, the public. News spread like wildfire. David's name, once synonymous with respect and intellectual authority, was now inextricably linked with scandal. Her phone rang nonstop, her inbox flooded with messages, some filled with sympathy, others with scorn. People at work were talking about her, whispering behind closed doors. The phone calls, the text messages, it all became too much for her. She collapsed into the couch, shaking, as though she couldn't process the fact that everything was falling apart. "I can't believe you did this," she said between tears. "You've ruined my life." I looked at her, the woman I thought I knew, and felt the distance between us grow wider with every word she spoke. "No, Samantha, you ruined it. I just showed everyone who you really are." David wasn't spared, either. Rumors started circulating that he was placed on immediate leave. Some students claimed they saw him leaving campus, his face pale and drawn, his future uncertain. His academic career was over before it even had a chance to recover. But none of it mattered. The damage had been done. By the evening, the weight of the situation finally hit home. Samantha, now a shell of her former self, stood in the kitchen doorway, her face etched with guilt and regret. "Why?" she asked, voice breaking. "Why would you do this to me? I thought you loved me." I looked at her, feeling the rage subsiding into something quieter, more painful. "Why did you do this to us, Samantha? You lied to me. You threw everything we had away for someone else." She collapsed into a chair, tears streaming down her face. "I don't know why it happened. It just did. And I hate myself for it." "How could you?" I asked, my voice steady but filled with sorrow. "How could you betray me like this?" She couldn't answer. She just cried, her body shaking with the weight of everything she had done. The days that followed were a blur. The scandal spread like wildfire. Samantha was called into several meetings with the university, her job hanging by a thread. David's resignation was announced soon after, and I was left in the silence of my own thoughts, watching everything I had worked for, everything I had believed in, come crashing down around me. She tried to rebuild the bridges she'd burned with the university, with me, but there was one thing she couldn't fix: trust. And then came the moment we had both feared. The choice. Could I forgive her? Could I rebuild everything we had? Or was this betrayal too great to overcome? One evening, after everything had fallen apart, Samantha stood in front of me, her face filled with regret. "I know I've destroyed everything," she said, voice raw with emotion. "But I love you, and I want to fix this. If you'll let me." I stood still, the weight of the decision pressing on my chest. Could I trust her again? Could I ever move past this? The answer wasn't easy. Forgiveness didn't come right away, and the road to healing would be long. if it ever came at all. But that was a choice only I could make. If you enjoyed this story of resilience and redemption, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Lost Love Mystery. Your support helps us bring you more heartfelt tales like this one. Have a story of your own? Feel free to share it with us. We'd love to hear from you. Stay tuned for more stories that touch the soul and remind us of the strength in every heart.